With the Netflix Shadow and Bone adaptation coming out soon, I figured it was probably time for me to read the books. I've just finished the first one, and boy do I have a lot to say. A lot of this is going to be in my Goodreads review, so if you don't like the sound of my voice, or just prefer to read your reviews, I'll link that in the description below. Now with that said, onto the review. This wasn't a bad book by any means. It featured a Russian-inspired setting that I personally found fascinating, since I don't often see fantasy YAs set in anywhere but medieval England. However, I'm not an expert on Russian culture, so I'm not going to praise it for accuracy I can't confirm, or go into detail over it when I can let others much more knowledgeable than I do just that. The world building around the magic system and military hierarchy was rich and complex, and all the side characters were developed into full people. In fact, my favourite character was a side character, who I really hope we see more of in the second book. It also starred a compelling, albeit whiny, main character, and not one, but two strapping love interests. Who doesn't adore a contrived love triangle between our main character, who is described as the least beautiful person in the entire kingdom, pale and sour like a glass of milk that's turned, her strappingly handsome but impossibly oblivious childhood best friend, and the mysterious, shadowy ruler, hundreds of times her age, that half the kingdom is lusting over. This is just one of the things that stopped it from being a 5-star read in my mind. Most of my problems with Shadow and Bone came from the villain, and before I go any further, here's my warning for spoilers. I'll put a timestamp up on the screen if you want to skip the upcoming rant, which will take you to a neatly summarised, spoiler-free description of what I'm about to say. You've had your warning, so spoilers start now. About 3/4 through the book, the main character, Alina Starkov, finds out the Darkling is the Darkling, the Black Heretic, and he has ulterior motives, which include killing basically everyone so he can rule over what's left of the world. Great plan. However, Alina Starkov doesn't get to find that out herself. She's told by another character, who up until now is just a side character and isn't even seen for the rest of the book, which means we as readers aren't even sure if he's actually the real villain. It would be much better if Alina figured it out for herself, not only to make the villain more intimidating, but our protagonist more interesting and more capable than having to have everything done for her. I think the author noticed that, because then, convince us the Darkling really is evil, he goes through a complete 180 character transformation from mysterious love interest to puppy killer McEvil, or more accurately, stag killer McEvil. He has his typical villain monologue about how Alina will learn to fear him, and he will kill everyone she loves if she doesn't do what he says. She tells him she'll fight every step of the way, he says it doesn't matter, he tries and fails to kill everyone she loves. Wait, fails? We know the Darkling has been alive for hundreds and hundreds of years, so he has had plenty of time to hone his skills and formulate his evil plan. He is easily the most powerful person in Ravka, but he's defeated by a bright light, a dead stag, and a sinking ship after showing off his power to embassies from other countries. These flaws, for those of you who have skipped ahead, add up to 180 personality turn to fit in the plot twist, lots of villainous monologues, standard evil plan, and easy defeat for the most talented person in Ravka and someone with thousands of years to plan. These flaws make it very hard to be intimidated by him, and he will really have to pull out all the stops and do something extraordinarily evil if he wants me to fear him again in the next book. Despite its flaws, though, it's a compelling book that made me want to continue reading, even if only to hit the characters over the head with a plank of wood for being idiots at some points. At its worst, it's a YA with a forced love triangle and boring villain. But at its best, it's a fantasy that sucks you in with a host of fantastic characters to fall in love with, and an incredibly developed world to dive into the history and culture of. I know I'm excited to read the next 2 books, that's for sure. Also, the review for Phil's Book 3 is coming. I just thought I'd spice up the schedule a bit. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe if you enjoyed hearing me get strangely angry at a book I loved and want to hear me do it again. Thank you, and goodbye.